Okay, let's see if I can do this in less than 30 minutes. I tried to do this before and it took 30 minutes. That's what I get for being very thorough with my explanations, but I'll try not to discover or go over every single detail on this PvP talent guide. So in 7.2.5, we did get a few changes, but honestly, most of it has stayed the same. So I'm really just here to show you guys what it currently is, when you might want to potentially switch out to something. That's really all this video is for. So let's just get straight into it. Best choice is Chi Wave. The only time you want to switch out is basically if you're playing with a mage or any kind of player where you don't want to break their CC, because CC setups are very important as a Windwalker currently. We don't do a whole lot of damage where, oh hey, a polymorph broke, doesn't matter, I'll just out DPS the healer. We're not a warrior, we're not a rogue right now, a sub-rogue specifically, or an arms warrior. We actually need setups to land kills. So the way we do that is by getting our mage partner or whoever we are queuing with to set up a full CC on the healer. We paralysis one of the DPS, and then we stun and do damage into our kill target. So Chi Wave can sometimes bounce off and hit a polymorph target or whatever target is CC'd. And if it breaks that CC, well, that's your fault. So sometimes myself will switch over to Eye of the Tiger or Chi Burst, so I don't do that. As for the next tier, Tiger's Lust, I don't think I have to cover this. I'll still do it anyway, I guess. I'll make it really short. Tiger's Lust not only gives you more mobility value compared to the other two, but you can also use it on teammates. If your Holy Pally healer teammate, your mage teammate, whatever, if you have a teammate where they need to get out, they are taking too much damage, let's say the warrior enhancement just popped Bloodlust Burst, you need to get them out of there. So what you can do is you can Tiger's Lust them, and that might get them out of damage so they don't have to Ice Block or Divine Shield. So a 30-second cooldown compared to, say, 5-minute major defensive is a huge deal. Additionally, for ourselves, we can kite with it, which will do the same thing. If we're playing a mage or against a mage or something, they will root us. And the only root clear we have is Tiger's Lust and Trinket. So if you don't run Tiger's Lust, you definitely don't want to Trinket a root. It will make you feel like a noob. Maybe not necessarily, but you will definitely regret not choosing Tiger's Lust. The other two are just so minor. So go with Tiger's Lust. For the next tier here, it's pretty simple. It comes down to which one gives you more resources, and that is definitely Energizing Elixir. Power Strikes is 4 chi per minute. Ascension, I don't know, but it's the worst by far. That's all I know. Energizing Elixir has two purposes. Number one, it gives you more chi and energy per minute by giving you up to 5 chi and 140 energy. And additionally, it can be used with Burst if you're not running Serenity. So if you're running the other two talents here, your Burst abilities, or your abilities during its effect, will cost chi, which means Energizing Elixir can be very important to instantly activate 5 chi to instantly Fist of Fury instead of having to Tiger Palm, Fist of Fury, which can be a big difference in that small burst window. So Energizing Elixir helps in a lot of cases. Even if you are running Serenity, which you probably should be since most monks are, it's still very valuable in a lot of cases where you can just pop in instantly Fist or pop in instantly Windlord, all that different stuff. So Energizing Elixir just has a lot of value. In terms of the next tier, same thing. Leg Sweep is still the most powerful. Hasn't changed since the day monks have come over. Basically, it's just a 5-second stun, very short cooldown compared to most. I mean, overall, it forces Trinkets. It's very important for locking down targets. I mentioned that earlier with Chi Wave. You need to lock somebody down for 5 seconds and then a little bit longer with Fist of Fury in order for your mage to cast a Glacial Spike. If they get out of the stun, they can range kick, they can paralysis your mage, whatever, and stop any kind of damage. So locking down a target is very important as a Windwalker, and Leg Sweep just does it much better compared to the other two. For the next tier, Healing Elixir is by far the best. Not only does it give you more defensive and healing over time compared to the other two, but it can also heal you while you are stunned. So if a rogue stuns you and they start bursting you down, well, you can't touch a Karma unless you Trinket. And if you don't have a Trinket or you don't want to Karma, if you drop 35% health, it will proc up to 2 charges. So that can heal you for quite a lot, save you from dying, and therefore you held onto your Trinket and your Karma for the next setup or whatever. So it does have a lot of value in a couple of different ways. However, Dampen Harm sucks, and Diffuse Magic does have a couple situations where you might prefer it. So if you're facing 2 casters such as, let's say, Elemental Warlock or Mage Warlock or whatever, they have a lot of burst, which you can mitigate both of them through Diffuse Magic with its very short cooldown. So it can be good against Wizard Cleaves, is what we call them. Mage Lock, you know, Lock, Shaman, all that different stuff. It can be quite good compared to Healing Elixir. Additionally, if you're facing an Affliction Warlock, and he decides to stack 3 or more unstable afflictions on you, you can choose to blow him up by going Touch of Karma, and then Diffuse Magic. Diffuse Magic will dispel those unstable afflictions, redirect them back to the Warlock, or whoever you karma'd, honestly. What it does is it dispels them, and all that dispel damage from the unstable effect will hit your karma, and your karma damage goes to whoever you karma'd. So if you're looking to burst against an Affliction Warlock, you can do that with Diffuse Magic. As for the next tier, in 725, Zwen received a 10% nerf. Hit combo received 2% damage nerf. Well, I don't know how you specifically say that, but what it was in 7.2 was 8% damage, 8 stacks. Now it's 6% damage, 6 stacks. So hit combo did get a little bit weaker. So basically, you can go with either one here. I remember watching Vinruki's stream the other day, and he mentioned that he really believes a lot of monks are going to go Rushing Jadewind. I don't know if he's right. He probably knows what he's talking about. He's a top-rated player. He's way better than me at monk. He's like my monk senpai, man. I watch Vinruki once in a while on his monk. I don't really watch his mage, but I do watch his monk, and he's a pretty big inspiration. My whole point here is all 3 of the talents here are quite valuable, so whatever one you actually want to go here is really up to you. I'm seeing most players still run Zwen, but I do see some players going with hit combo Serenity together, because, I mean, all 3 of them are pretty mediocre at the moment. So whatever one you choose isn't that big of a deal. It's really up to preference at this point. I do mostly see Zwen and hit combo for the most part still, but like I mentioned, for the 4th time now, 3rd time, whatever, you can really go with whatever one you want. It's not that big of a deal. For the final tier, Chi Orbit still sucks. Dragon Punch is pretty decent, and Serenity is the preferred choice. When it comes to Windwalkers, we're all about burst. Our, I almost said single target, but I guess that's the same thing. Our sustained damage is not the best. We are more focused around burst damage. For example, Windwalker Mage. Mage gets a poly on the healer. You paralysis a DPS. You leg sweep, stun combo the kill target. You want to burst within that small CC chain where the 2 partners are CC'd. And while that healer is polyed and that other DPS is paralyzed, you and your mage, or whoever your teammate is, whatever, you burst down, and that's where Serenity comes in. It does a lot more damage in a shorter period of time than Storm Earth and Fire. If you're looking for a longer duration, then Storm Earth and Fire does slowly come out ahead. But you're looking for those short window burst opportunities there, and that's where Serenity is much better. You'll get more Rising Sun Kicks, you'll get more damage overall because of the reduced cooldown on Chi Spenders. So Fist of Fury, Sun Kick, what's the other one? Spinning Crane Kick, Strike of the Windlord. So you can get more damage output through that, especially now when Fist of Fury received a damage nerf and a lot more damage went into Blackout Kick, Spinning Crane Kick, or not Spinning Crane Kick, Spinning Crane Kick got nerfed actually. Rising Sun Kick and Strike of the Windlord, they received more damage, and that really benefits Serenity in some cases. So Serenity just is the better choice. Additionally, the cooldown is much shorter. Instead of 1.5 minutes, it's 1.17. That's because of this talent right here, or trait, Split Personality, which reduces it by 20 seconds. This does affect Storm, Earth, and Fire as well, but honestly, overall, Serenity is the preferred choice right now by most monks. For the honor talents, nothing has changed. You want to go Gladiator's Medallion. Unless you're an Orc or Human, then you can choose to go Relentless against stun comps. If you're playing, say, Rogue Mage or something like that, where they revolve around stunning you, you can actually run Relentless with your Orc Racial, because you will reduce the duration of those stuns by 40% if you think you're going to be the kill target. Adaptation works quite well as well, but I'm a Tauren, and on Alliance I'm a Night Elf, which means I don't get any kind of good benefit like Human Racial or Orc Racial. So I always run the Trinkets. Sometimes I'll switch over to Adaptation, and otherwise I just go Gladiator's Medallion. I like to choose what I trinket. Sometimes I just get so much burst damage, I need to trinket karma right away, and that's why I prefer trinket. But in some cases, like I mentioned, Human or Orc, like most players who Flavor of the Month reroll, you can actually get away with the other 2 talents as well. For the next tier, Reinforced Armor is the best choice. Sparring and Hardiness just don't give you enough value compared to Reinforced. Reinforced Armor synergizes very well with the Monk Defensive Toolkit. Not only do you get 10% health, but additionally it buffs your healing abilities. For example, Fortifying Brew increases your health by 20%. The more health you have, the more effect you get from Fortifying Brew. Additionally, we head over to Healing Elixir, heals you for 15% of your health. Again, the more health you have, the more healing you are receiving. Shall we continue? Let's see, what else do we have? Touch of Death deals damage equal to half of your health. The more health you have, you guys get the point. I'm missing something else. I know I am. Touch of Karma. Let's see here. It cannot go past half your health. So the more health you have, the longer it will absorb damage and, of course, redirect damage. And finally, I believe this is the last one. Transcendence. Every time you transfer with it, you heal yourself for a percentage. The more health you have. You guys get the point. Our defensive toolkit is mostly healing percentage based. So the more health you have, the better the benefit. So you're basically speccing 2 for 1 when you go reinforced armor. For the next tier, Fast Feet is by far the best. It used to be Yulon's Gift, but they nerfed it in 7.1. Fast Feet, whenever you're attacked, whenever you get slows, it reduces the duration and you also move a lot faster. Well, a little bit faster. It's not a lot, but it does make a difference. So overall, Fast Feet for mobility. However, there are some cases where Eminence will be better. For example, if you're queuing 2v2 against a melee, the more you can Transcendence, the more healing you will get out of Healing Winds, which is right here. And on top of that, the more you can avoid damage. For example, if I'm facing a Demonology Warlock, what I like to do, or even Destruction Warlock, I should say, any kind of caster in 2v2, for example, if they try to poly my healer, what I'll do is I'll Transcendence away. They can't do anything to me. I Transcendence behind the pillar, and there's nothing they can do. So the more I have it active, the more opportunities I can mitigate any kind of damage. It forces them to go my healer, so I can sit there and pretty much do damage to them, and overall do more pressure. It can probably be frustrating for those casters. It makes me very slippery. Additionally, if you are not with a healer, so if you're by yourself, if you're queuing Windwalker Mage 2s, any kind of double DPS 2s, and you have to rely on your own self-healing, the more you can Transcendence, the more you'll get from Healing Winds, which overall helps with your healing. The more you can mitigate damage by escaping that warrior or whatever you're facing. It's just really good overall if you're trying to survive. Otherwise, Fast Feet is by far the best. In 3v3, you'll almost never go Eminence. You want to be offensive to win, and that's where Fast Feet comes in. For the next tier, Control the Miss. It does not remove the cost of a fuse, which means you'll be energy starved. A fuse heals for a terrible 150,000 amount, so it's overall not very valuable. Just ignore this talent. Zen Moment, it would be godly, it would be amazing, but the one effect that they fixed, it used to be bugged. Each attack that you trigger with combo strikes reduces the effect by 5%. So if you basically do 4 different attacks while this is active, it's gone. Previously, before the bug was fixed, it would actually increase the effect. So you could actually get up to 65% damage reduction and healing received. It used to be amazing, but I mean, the cooldown and everything was great. If they removed the combo strike negative effect, it would be probably the best choice, even with the 3 cheat cost. A 45-second cooldown with damage reduction and healing received. It's just absolutely amazing. It's just unfortunate that it loses its effect when you go to attack with it. The more you attack, like the whole reason you want to run this in the first place is to stay offensive. If you have to pull away when you use it, you might as well just use Transcendence basically. So that's the whole reason why this one sucks, and Fortifying is just better by default. It's a short cooldown, it's a pure defensive, you can stay offensive with it, there's no drawback, it's just really good. For the next tier, you can turn with Serpent Kick with Tiger Style. It's really not that useful. In some rare cases it is. If you're like facing a warrior and you don't want him to charge you in that split second it takes to get behind the pillar, you can run this. It's really not that useful. Disabling Reach is a lot better for 2 reasons. One, Disable actually has a terrible hitbox. You could be right on top of the guy and it still won't use it. There's a hitbox problem with the ability. But with the 10-yard range increase, you actually can use it now with ease, and it's not really an issue. Additionally, the other reason why it's the best choice is it allows you to peel for your teammates much better. If I'm facing, say, a warrior, enhancement shaman, Mistweaver on the enemy team, and I'm playing with my mage and Holy Pally, if they decide to train my mage, I can slow them at a range instead of having to be right on top of them, and probably not even use it anyway because of the terrible hitbox. So the peeling opportunity with this talent is just way greater than the other 2. Ride the Wind just sucks. We won't even look at that. It's really only good in large-scale PvP, such as defending Orgrimmar, Ashran, Taran Mill versus Selshore in the Brawl. The more people you affect with it, the better it is, but overall, the other talents are going to be more valuable in most cases, since most people technically just Battleground and Arena. For the final tier, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. Finally, something potentially different. Heavy-handed strikes went back from 3-second stun to 4, which is a big deal, especially against Orc Relentless. Additionally, it no longer increases the range of your Fist of Fury. So in 7.2.5, Fist of Fury is now 8-yard range baseline. This is technically a nerf to PvP, And the reason why is because this is the best talent, so every monk is running it, which means every monk has 10-yard range. But since they took it away, it's now 8-yard range. However, it does turn into a buff if you run Grapple Weapon or Tiger Eye Brew, because now, when you run them, it's not melee range, it's always 8-yard range. So it's a buff in some cases and a nerf in some. And this is where we talk about the talent change here with Tiger Eye Brew. They changed it a little bit to where instead of increasing your damage, healing, and damage reduction, it simply just makes your attacks ignore armor, and it reduces the damage of your attacks by 20%. So I'll go into how this works in a second, but let's talk about how it generates stacks. So it consumes up to 10 stacks to empower your physical abilities with wind for 2 seconds per stack. So what you need to know here is that you don't need 10 stacks. This is not the old Tiger Eye Brew. You get 2 seconds per stack, not increased damage per stack. So what you can do is you can generate, say, 3 or 4 stacks. That's about 8 seconds, 6 seconds of Tiger Eye Brew. You leg sweep, and 3 or 4 stacks is enough just for that setup. So get 3 or 4 stacks, use it, and then you can burst no problem. So you don't have to worry about getting 10 stacks at all. Now, as for how the damage works, it reduces the damage of our attacks by 20%. It doesn't say it here, but on Wowhead that's what it says, and a lot of people believe it's 20%. So our abilities deal 20% reduced damage, but they bypass armor, which means, depending on what the classes that you are hitting, you could actually be doing less damage than what it does. So it could actually make your damage worse. If you're facing a mage and he has, say, 15% reduction in terms of armor, well, you're bypassing 15%, but your abilities are doing 20% less. So you're actually doing 5% less damage. But if you're facing, say, a plate warrior who has 30% armor reduction, you ignore all of that, but you do 20% less. So 30% take away 20%, Tiger Eye Brew is a 10% damage increase. Additionally, we also have certain specs like Boomkin, where they receive a lot of armor through Moonkin form. You ignore all of that armor. Boomkins are balanced around that. They don't have a lot of healing, they don't have a whole lot of escapes or whatever, so if you can lock them down in a stun, they are sitting there with a lot of armor to survive. But if you lock them down in a stun, and you ignore their one form of mitigation while stunned, you can probably blow up that Moonkin. So there will be some specific cases where Tiger Eye Brew can be more powerful, and that's what I like about this change coming in, replacing Spinning Fire Blossom. I know a lot of monks are not happy about Spinning Fire Blossom being gone, but if I am being 100% honest here, we never really used it anyway in this expansion. So seeing it never used and then get replaced by something that might be used, that's what I like to hear. Now what I think should be done is maybe change a mobility talent for Spinning Fire Blossom. For example, Yulon's Gift. No one ever uses this. If you put Spinning Fire Blossom there, well then, you know, we can compete between the 3 here. Or same thing here. Ride the Wind isn't used a whole lot. It does have some aspects where I do use it. For example, if I'm defending Orgrimmar or doing Ashran or whatever, I do actually spec into this. But in most cases, people aren't using it. So I can see this being replaced by Spinning Fire Blossom instead. So I think they could bring it back. We have 2 mobility tiers. We already have so much mobility. In fact, you could even possibly put it up here. Chi Torpedo sucks, Celerity sucks. If you want to put it here to match with mobility here, same thing. We have 3 mobility tiers. We already have so much mobility. So it doesn't need to be here in the first place. It could be somewhere in one of those tiers. But anyway, that's enough about my rant on Spinning Fire Blossom. That's the PvP talent guide for 725. I hope you guys liked the in-depth explanation of this. If you guys want to see more, don't be afraid to leave a comment down below. Thanks guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.